Hello, everybody. Happy Saturn Direct Day. There we go. Hopefully I've got that sorted. Hi, guys. It's been a little bit since I've had a chance to chat with you, but I'm excited because Saturn is direct today, and I feel like we should talk about that, and we're going to talk about that and look over that and look at some clues that we've got coming in from this Saturn direct energy as it kind of guides us towards 2020. So I've made lots of notes to share with you guys so I stay on track, because there's just a lot to talk about, especially when we're looking at the actual astrology of 2020. We've got Pluto, Saturn in the conjunction that's going to be happening in Capricorn in 2020, which is a very big deal. But then shortly after, as we get into the January, February, March timeframes, we start to see the influence of both Jupiter and Mars. Plus, it is a year where we've got personal planets taking retrograde. So it's pretty much a busy year. It's a significant year, but this is a year, this is a time where we can start to make some progress and start to get some clues about what's going on in our own lives, as well as the world itself, for sure. So I wanted to hop on here and spend a little bit of time. I'm going to turn us a little bit. And talk about this Saturn direct. So if you guys see me looking here, I've got lots and lots of notes laid out so I don't miss anything, okay? I hope you guys are doing so well out there, and hello in advance to everybody. If people come in late, I'll probably just wave to you so we can stay on track here. Your time is valuable. So, okay, so first and foremost, Saturn is direct today. Woot, woot, woot. I'm very excited about that information. And it's a beautiful thing because Saturn itself as an energy, as a planet, is sometimes in astrology, and depending on who you study with, taught as a malefic energy, so a negative energy, a bad energy. And I don't teach it that way because I don't believe that we live in a universe that hates us and wishes to help us self-destruct. It actually kind of goes against the first rule of life, right? Self-preservation. So I don't believe we were just thrown into a fishbowl and it's just waiting to beat the hell out of us. So what I do believe about Saturn, though, is that it is the timekeeper of life, right? Saturn is this big daddy energy. It's heavy. There's no getting around it. Saturn is a heavier energy because it makes us very, very responsible. We've got things to actually do in this lifetime, and we've got to get them done, and there is some seriousness to that. We really did not just show up on this planet or in this lifetime, however you look at it, to just hang out. Right? So we do need some encouragement to move along and get things done, and also in a timely manner. So Saturn itself is our timekeeping energy. It teaches us responsibility. It helps us with maturity. It helps us achieve things and to move things forward. I mean, in the word, sometimes, depending on, what your experience with the Saturn energy, you hear responsibility and you're like, oh, kill me now, like you're so tired. And so I totally understand that. And it's just because it's a heavier energy, but ultimately it is here to help us not only see what's possible, but to move actually towards it, put it into the rules, the energy of Capricorn, which is an earth energy, and earth energies exist and like to see things come to flourishment in the physical material plane. So the things that you've been dreaming about, that you've had a vision for, even subconsciously, the things that you've wanted, this energy is helping them to become real. So it's been a big deal. So now the one thing I want to tell you and just kind of keep in mind is what I would love for you to do is to be checking out the Capricorn energies in your chart. And if you don't have a chart, you can always pull up a free one at astro.com, Cafe Astrology. There's a million different sites you can use to pull up your free chart. You can also buy one from me or anybody else that you trust in astrology, because I'm not the only astrologer on this planet, thank goodness, right? There are beautiful people out there teaching and sharing astrology. So make sure that you have a chart so that you can look at your Capricorn energies, because your Capricorn energies in your chart are going to be what you need as we continue to talk and study to get some of the hints about what's coming in your life and what to do with them and how to grow into those things and where your hard work is going to be, okay? Now, Saturn has been retrograde for 5 months, so I want you to think back to the beginning of the year, right? We come from December until April, and Saturn is working here in the Capricorn area. So these are areas where Saturn shows up here, and he's starting to make us a little bit uncomfortable, right? We've done a lot of learning throughout 2017, 2016, and 17 were some learning years and some growth years, right? So here we are in 2018, or excuse me, the beginning of 2019. And Saturn's making us a little bit uncomfortable because we're growing again, right? We're coming to a new level of hard work. We're coming to this new place where we can make real progress. And so wherever Saturn was at, whatever house Saturn was at in your chart, this is where you start to feel a little bit of this heaviness, right? And it may be connected in several different ways, but you start to feel the heaviness. And so Saturn, during the January to April timeframe, said, okay, hey, here's where I want us to mature because I'd like to level you up. I'd like to take you to this next place. P.S. We're on a timeline, so I need you to move your feet a little bit, right? So Saturn is helping to level you up, take you to this next place, take you to the next level, give you new perspective on things. But at first it can feel a little bit challenging. You can feel depressed. You can feel like, oh my God, when is this over? Not to mention that we've had Saturn in conjunction with this transiting south node, but also putting pressure across the street on that transiting north node. And that plays on human emotions. So if you felt like life has been a little bit heavy, like your emotions, you're like, woof, when is this going to lift? We get some relief from that in October, just so you know, but certainly that's what the energy feels like at that time. And you're not alone. You're amongst good human company. I promise you, we're all growing together, right? But so as Saturn's here, you're being asked to re-look at this particular housing scheme, this particular department of life, and your old ideas are going to be changed and challenged, right? Because you think about structures, the structures that have guided you, which include your thinking, your belief process, the actual physical structures that you've had in your life. These are changing. They're being challenged. And Saturn says, in order for us to move forward, this area has to die off so that we can have a rebirth. Remember, he's traveling with Pluto right now, who's the Phoenix energy, killing some things off so that something else can live there. And what's always taken out is the structure that no longer suits you. The universe has these times, and Saturn kind of leads the way with that, where when a structure no longer is able to help you really achieve, or a belief is no longer to help you achieve and move forward, the energies will come and start to move those things out, right? And so that's what we've been experiencing. So from January to April, you were shown some things like Saturn's like, hey, dude, work on these, and I'm going to take a nap. And while I'm sleeping, I'm going to help you see and re-look at these ideas, re-look at these people, places, and things that don't fit anymore. These structures will not help to achieve. They don't fit anymore, right? So he goes to sleep from April until today. And you've had, look over this last 5 months. What realizations have you come to over your Saturn energies in that area of your chart? What structures are different? What beliefs do you have are different? Where are you seeing progress for yourself? Because it hasn't just been P.S. sit here and fix all of this stuff. It's been a space of progress, you guys. It is progress, progress, progress. Nobody's going to ever show up to this deal having done it all right, at least not while you're still alive and a human, right? Instead, where have you made progress here? And celebrate that, because the progress you made while Saturn was helping you mature and grow up and come out of some of these old ideas and structures that you've had, he's giving you freedom to walk with him now that he's direct. Because now here in September, he's direct. So he is going to start, not today, he's going to start from today to resume his powerful forward orbit, right? And that gives us the full blessings and experience of Saturn, which is now where you can continue that progress, but at a higher level, a level that is better for you, a level that doesn't feel like you're doing all the work and getting nowhere. It's a level of success and achievement. It's really important for us to understand that that is exactly what's happening. Now, things that we haven't learned quite yet, right? Things that are lessons we still struggle with. Saturn's going to bring those forward as well, right? And one of the things that I think of is I just sat with a client the other day, and she has been careless and still just learning about the world of finances, right? Because when Saturn comes direct, he brings his full directness, and he's not asking for your participation, right? You're going to get on board because Saturn is here to teach. He's the great guru, and he's just not as a gentle of a guru as Jupiter is, but he's the great guru, right? So she's struggling right now, and as Saturn comes direct today, I get an email from her that says, oh man, my checking account is way overdrawn. So see, the negative lessons or the negative experience, they're all good lessons, but the negative experiences that we're having as well, where our behaviors have been based in procrastination, or they've been based in some kind of mismanagement, Saturn is teaching us those too. He's going to bring them right into our face so that we can see what's happening. And I happen to have this perspective, and you can change any of the wording of this that you need to make it make sense for you. But instead of thinking that we're just humans running around out here making mistakes, learning lessons, right? I do think that every mistake, every challenge that we have is softening us to the idea of trusting the universal flow that is pure and perfect and available to all of us, that as humans we naturally kind of resist because we feel like we have to figure things out by ourselves. We have to manage this. I have to fix this. I have to know what to do here. And instead, this energy, the negative experience we have that is not perfect, softens us to trusting this universal flow, trusting our higher selves, trusting whatever we call God, whatever we call that divine spirit. And this shows up here in Saturn energy as well, because nothing levels you like some Saturn energy, right? Absolutely. You know what I'm talking about. Now, the other thing that Saturn does, and we've all experienced, is pushes us into uncomfortable situations so that we will grow. Nobody is over there growing like this beautiful plant when we're all comfortable, right? It's going to push us to get outside of our comfort zones. With the help of Uranus and Taurus, we are re-looking at value and value of structures, value of the things we need to be responsible with, and the people, places, and things we need to be responsible to with this energy as well. So all of this, I say, shows up at our door today, you guys, with Saturn direct, putting us in the position where the number one thing we've got to do is, one, recognize we've got this big, heavy, not playing with you kind of teacher to help us, but it puts us in the position where we have to be honest with ourselves about how we're showing up in our lives, how we're showing up in our structure, and also what is possible for our lives and what is not. If some of the things that have come up for you and have just made you very, very sad over this last 5 months is this idea, this limiting idea and belief that life can never be different. It's always going to be the same. All of these people are out here talking about these important changes are happening and you're not feeling a part of the wave, right? If that's a limiting thing that's been coming to your doorstep over and over again, maybe you have to address the honesty with Saturn that it's your turn to shed those limiting beliefs. If you've had limiting beliefs in your business, Saturn is like, no, I'm not telling you you can't have success in your business. What I'm telling you is that either in your current behavior pattern or even subconsciously, unconsciously, I need you to take some different actions so that I can help you have the success that you're asking for. But it is certainly a time today with Saturn direct where we are called to a fair amount of honesty with ourselves so that Big Daddy Saturn can get in there with us and help us level up. And keep in mind, Pluto's helping us die off. Pluto is helping us transform so that we can achieve and move forward. So the whole idea is to get us closer to the things that we actually want to be experiencing with ourselves, with each other, with this creative vibe out there in the world and all of that good stuff, okay? All right, so something else that I made notes about that I wanted to talk to you guys about is how this shows us a little bit of sneak peek of energies that are coming into 2020. So we know, and if you've been studying, and if you haven't, that's okay. I shouldn't say we know, but if you're new or you've been studying for a while, what's going to happen in 2020 is that we're going to have more of a major conjunction between Saturn and Pluto. Now, they have been conjunct for a while. They've waned and ebbed and flowed in and out of that in 2019, so that's not necessarily new information. But what that has done for us is, in a global sense and in a personal sense, it's put us in the position to feel some pressure, right? Like the pressure's been building, and the pressure's been building so that we can move towards some change. And it has very much so been at a personal and at a global level, that idea of things needing to die off, including our perceptions and things like that, and our structures, our physical structures in the world, our government, our ideas, our housing, our all of these very big, critical, real global ideas have needed to start to die off so that something else can interact with it and we can build something better. And this is again where, if you've watched any of my other videos where I say with the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto, then we'll have Jupiter and Mars jumping, and everything moving us towards the energy of the Saturn and Aquarius kind of energies, and he'll dance between that as we get closer to the end of the year. All of that points us to not only the change, but it points us to a particular grouping of people who've been catching a fair amount of flack, who are actually going to help us. They're going to actually lead us forward, right? As we move into 2020, we've got this grouping of people here that are absolutely brilliant, and they were born between the 80s and 90s, and we like to make fun of our little millennials, and we've challenged them. We've talked about them. We've had a meme or 7,000 about them, and how sensitive they are and all of these other things. And it is actually that level of sensitivity to the adjustment and to the dying off that will be a key for all of us to start tapping into. These will be our leaders forward. So, if you've had a hard time or you've had challenge with the millennials, I would tell you start to make friends with them, because as these structures collide, they're actually our tour guides moving forward. So I just want you to kind of keep that in mind. Okay. All right. So now what fully will unfold for us in very specific terms in 2020 is going to remain a mystery. But what is for absolute certain is that each and every one of us has been put in a position, especially with Saturn direct today, for radical changes as we move forward. And where I want you to take notice is, of course, all of those areas in your chart that have your Capricorn energy. And the time frames that I'm going to really want you to pay attention to as we move into 2020 are going to be January, February, and March. January is full. It's just full. We've got a full moon that is going to hit its peak on January 10th. But there's so many energies stacked over in the energy of Capricorn. It's the Sun, it's Mercury, it's Saturn, it's Pluto. They're all stacked here in this Capricorn energy. So we've got about 2 weeks really of high Capricorn energy, and we see another flood of this energy as we move towards February. We see another flood of this energy as we move towards March, and then we have Jupiter and Mars that jump in and join the party. So I really want you to pay attention to the radical changes and the progress that's being made in your life as we move towards those dates. So just make note of them, because you're not going to know until you get there, but make note of them now. These are your hints of things that are coming. Okay, please pay particular attention to March. I get the intuitive sense, not necessarily an astrological sense, but I've seen the astrology of March 2020. Of course, I'm getting ready to put out the 2020 horoscopes, but the astrology of March is just something to me intuitively that feels like, because everything is so aligned here in this energy, even with Saturn getting ready to do that dance between Capricorn and Aquarius, that it's like your plans are getting ready for delivery, right? Like whatever it is you've been working on, the progress you've been making, you're going to be able to start to really see some more concrete success, because you've had some success, but it's a more concrete success happening in March. Like it's like a delivery time, like, pizza's ready, fries are done. I don't know, but it just feels like something around the structures and barriers for each of us, our perceptions, they have fallen out, and we have space now for something that is more achievement ready to show up. It'll be very fascinating to see. Please take note of it, because I would love for you to keep me posted on what that looks like for you into March 2020. Not that I'm not interested in today, but that'll be a big deal there too. Now, with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in 2020, things that we look at, I made the notes on the dates, is that because it's that energy of death and transformation plus new structures, we look back. In astrology, we could always look back at the patternings of timings. That's how we know what happened. That's how we know what we can kind of interpret and expect. The last time Saturn and Pluto kind of hung out and came to a beautiful collision with each other was in the 40s, and it happened to be in fire energy instead of being in earth energy. So it was in fire energy. We were ready to do new things. We were ready to make new discoveries, and we did make lots of new discoveries. A lot of those discoveries at the time had to do with things that had to do with space travel, things about space, anything out there up in the ethers. There was a lot happening around that. In addition to that, we had several medical breakthroughs that came through for us in the 40s. And so as we jump forward now and we start to look at what are some things that we can see radically coming in 2020, we have to look back to the 40s and say, okay, now wait a minute, maybe what's going to happen is we're going to have more, and Jupiter will be moving into Capricorn, so maybe we are going to get bigger and we're going to have more space exploration happening. Maybe we'll have more information about what's going out there. Maybe we'll be taken into a whole new level of technology that we've been developing for some time, but we haven't really had the means to access it yet. Medically, things are absolutely going to get completely different for sure. Again, the millennials, the people in the 80s and the 90s, which there was a ton, and I'll be making a video on this too, really the conjunction so that we can see it a little bit more. But in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of Capricorn influence happening, right? So again, we look back and we see the patterns. There was a lot of Capricorn influence. So that's how we know that these millennials are going to play a very big part in us marching forward. They're going to be people of inspiration for us as we move forward. And the medical, the science, and the cultural breakthroughs will be huge. And thinking about those cultural breakthroughs as well, yeah, absolutely. Jupiter in Capricorn is one of those things I think of, cultural breakthroughs. Now, keep in mind, Jupiter in Capricorn is not comfortable. He doesn't enjoy being in that energy, because Jupiter wants to be free, and he wants to be big, and he wants to express, and he wants to expand, and he does not want to be confined. He doesn't want to be restricted. He doesn't like being told be small. This is an expansive, big picture, big influence. So anything that tries to contain Jupiter, he's not really happy. So when Jupiter shows up, because remember, when a planet moves into a specific sign, the planet has to get on board and act like the sign, because the sign is how that planet gets to express itself. So when Jupiter's in Sagittarius, like he is now, he's like, yes, honey, right? Like, here's my everything, because he's comfortable and he gets to just spread his wings as much as he wants. But in Capricorn, he's got to act like a Capricorn and kind of tame it down. So when Jupiter has got on his Capricorn tap dancing suit, he's like, all right, man, I mean, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to like it. I'm going to cuss all the way. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so as we look at this Jupiter in Capricorn influence, the last time that Jupiter really had a lot of experience with the Capricorn influence, we did see our economy kind of take a nosedive in the United States, really kind of globally. And so we have to look back in the patterning of that. And so we know that Jupiter's not the only influence that plays on the economy. We've also got Uranus and Taurus. Jupiter's not the only energy that has to do with any kind of recession, but certainly Uranus and Taurus, which if you haven't watched my Uranus and Taurus video, it's still up. Feel free to check that out. Pluto, at the same time, that Jupiter was doing his thing in Capricorn, Pluto had changed signs at that time as well. So something happened, right? So we can look at 20-year increments when we look at these two energies working together. So Pluto had moved out of this comfortable energy for Jupiter of Sagittarius, and Pluto moved into Capricorn and has been there for a while, since 2008, 2008. That's not a time, you guys. 2008, right? So we've got this energy now here of Pluto bringing a whole nother twist to it. And Pluto's been in Capricorn since then. So we're not really surprised, but instead what Pluto's been showing us in response to all of these things is where the systems we have are failing, where the perceptions, where the ideas we have are failing, where the laws we have that are failing need to move out, where cultural beliefs that we have are failing and they need to move out so that we can recreate these solid structures. So as we're in 2020, my goodness, 2018, I'm making up stuff over here. When we're in 2020 and we see Jupiter and Pluto collide here, we can expect to see our economy do some twists and turns. We can expect to see our cultural views expand, to need to continue to be more inclusive, to be more solid, to fit underneath us, to be what's going to fit this next generation in this next era of humanity, right? The only difference we're going to see is that Saturn is also going to be included in this kind of recessing time that we've got going on. So what does all of this interesting stuff mean for you, you guys? What does this mean for you? Because I want us to follow this through the world, because we live in the world, so we can each see it. No matter where you're from, you can see the influence of these in your world. But I want this to be something personal and delicious for you as well. So what does this mean for you? First of all, because Saturn is direct today, and Saturn is not interested in short-term progress, right? He's not leveling you up. He's not helping you. He's not keeping you on time because of short-term progress. I want you to envision and think about, write about, if that helps you, but what are your long-term goals for yourself in the area where Saturn is impacting for you? As we're approaching this time where things are, we can have so much more of a radical perspective. We can have a perspective that is, maybe we've been handed opportunities to see the world bigger than anything we were able to conceptualize before. How has that adjusted your desire for your long-term plans? Where have you seen in the time of retrograde barriers that have presented itself to you, barriers that you have had yourself, where you're welcoming potential breakthroughs so that you can move forward? Where does that look like in the sense of investing? I really want to ask you this as a side note, kind of, but in what you've understood and what you understand today about investing, Uranus and Taurus, where are you at in understanding your finances and investing, where that may or may not be valuable for you? Have you put any effort and energy into learning those sorts of things? And in the other terms of investment, where is the investment of your time critical, and where have you found that some things are just, you're procrastinating, or you're wasting time, or this is not the best use of your energy? I mean, ultimately, though some things are going to need to go from our lives still, what I would ask you to do is pay attention to, one, not only where you've progressed and what's really alive for you right now, but also, if something is dying off for you, please don't reach out to try and grab it and save it. The universe at this point, this Saturn energy for us at this point, is like cleaning house for us, you guys, right? It's saying, I'm going to take from you all of these things that you don't need anymore because they can't help you move forward. So if things feel like they're dying or falling out of your life, or they just don't fit you anymore, please don't reach your hands out of the lifeboat to try and get and grab them, right? Because sometimes we like to hold tight to things that the universe is just trying to take because we don't need it. And instead of having this little tiny comfy teddy bear, the universe is about to give us this big old bear that is totally well built for us. So pay attention. Those are your hints. Those are your clues. Look at where Saturn's at in your chart and see where things have been dying off. See where your progress is at, because the fact is, change is happening for all of us. And I don't ever believe that any of us are actually afraid of change, but I think we're not as good as at the transition from this thing to this thing, because it can be a little bit scary, right? So if you look at these areas of your chart, it'll give you a little bit of a hint about what's coming for you in your life by picking up on where you've progressed and more what's dying as well. And you'll continue to see the growth here as we move into 2020, but be prepared to understand that big things are possible and big things are coming for you if you will work with the energies in your chart. I always suggest that you never work against Saturn, because that is entirely painful, but we're humans, and sometimes we've got to get spun around and hit our heads against the wall a little bit until we're ready to let go and see the progress happen. But ultimately, today is a beautiful day. It's a good day. No matter what is happening, there is something to be grateful for. Saturn being and moving direct is going to put pressure on you where you need the pressure to be, where the pressure is being felt, where you're feeling it. Turn around, look it straight in the face, and let's get honest about how you're showing up. What are your beliefs here? And change doesn't mean that it's painless, right? That is not it at all. Sometimes you have to move very fearfully into the place of transition so that you can see the honest perspective of what's happening for you in your life, and then you can face it, and Saturn will meet you right there and level you up. It will just absolutely level you up. So I'm excited for Saturn direct today, you guys. In October, Pluto is going to come direct, so we'll really have a full force of planets moving in direct motion, ready to help us move forward and to evolve. And it's funny because it can be very woo-woo to be like, oh, we're all growing, but the fact is, spiritually we are growing, and if we stop growing, and sometimes that happens, sometimes we stall out, it gets very painful. Ooh, the mailman must be here, the dog's barking. So I want you guys to just keep that in mind. Know I'm sending you lots and lots of love from Colorado today, and yes, indeed, the October videos are coming along, you guys. They will be moving in that direction, but there's been a lot of preparation to get us ready for 2020, because the thing that was most important to me for us for 2020 was for me to be able to, yes, put out good work and good content, but to also make myself available to you guys for work and for questions and for study and for conversation and for community in 2020. The key for me was pleasure, play, and availability for all of us to just kind of get in this and walk through. We're all in the same boat together, you guys. I'm sending you lots of love. I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day. Get ready for this beautiful moon coming in Libra. It's going to show you all sorts of things about your relationships, help you be a little bit more diplomatic where you need to, and ultimately it's going to be good. So if you want to know what's happening for the next coming moon, check it out in the Libra moon video as well. All right, you guys, I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody. Thank you for showing up.